Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Friday Live. This is where I go live every Friday at around 1:30, approximately 1:30, to answer any and every question that you may have around your life, around relationships, anything and everything at all. I'm open to any questions that you may have, so that I can basically be of service to anybody who's looking for clarity, for help, for understanding in an area that I know can be really tricky, complicated, and complex. So, welcome to the live. If you're just logging in now, I am running this on Facebook and YouTube. So if you're looking on Facebook and you can't see comments, that's because they're coming through on YouTube and vice versa. But, I just want to put it out there. This is your chance to ask me any questions about anything, and I will do my very, very best to answer them for you. Hi, Roz. Nice to see you, honey. Welcome. Welcome. Are you still in Melbourne experiencing our sixth lockdown? Bless you, Melbourne. I know it's a challenging time for people at the moment. My sister said it's like whack-a-mole. It's like one comes up, one goes down, one goes up, one goes down. This seems to be what is happening all over Australia at the moment, and I'm sure all over the world. Hi, Carly. Nice to see you, honey. Welcome. So this is your opportunity to bring me any questions that you have. Hopefully I can answer that for you and be of service. Hi, Diane. Whereabouts in the world are you? Hey, Dave. Nice to see you. Good on you for being here. You're another person I know who is in lockdown. Carly, I know, is in Canada. Hopefully you're not in lockdown, honey. Where are you from, Diane? What part of the world are you logging in from? Curious to know where people are from, because I know we've got people all over the world in all sorts of different situations. So if you're just joining us today, this is your opportunity to ask me any questions you may have around relationships, around life. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kalgoorlie. Okay, beautiful. Well, then you're definitely not in lockdown. I think you guys are wild and free over there in Kalgoorlie, aren't you? Hey, Cecily, nice to see you, honey, from Norway. It must be very late in the middle of the night for you there in Norway, isn't it? Or very early, very, very early in the morning. Hi, Olivia. Welcome. Whereabouts are you from, Olivia? I'm just curious to find out. We've got people from Canada, Melbourne, Perth, which is in Western Australia. We've got people in Norway, Cranbourne, which is Melbourne. So I love the fact that we can all jump on and be here together as a community and help each other. Oh, New Zealand. Okay, beautiful. Are you guys in lockdown there, or are you able to move freely about? We're not at the moment. We've got a 5K limit on where we can go and what we can do. And my children are totally over remote learning at the moment. They've had an absolute had enough of it, so it's challenging for people. But look, I want to really reiterate this. If you don't know me, my name is Fiona Lukes. I have been working in the relationship space for 13 years. You're free. Well, lucky you, Olivia. You enjoy that, honey. Enjoy your freedom. I've been working in the relationship space for around 13 years. I help people in any and every relationship you can imagine, because the solution to relationships is exactly the same. I know that might sound a bit controversial, but it doesn't matter what the relationship is, the solution is the same. So if you're here because you're struggling with your children, or your intimate partner, or a work colleague, or a family member, or a friend, or a work, I think I said work colleague. So if you're any kind of relationship you can imagine, where the understanding that I teach will help you with any and every relationship. So once you have this understanding, you can take it with you everywhere you go. And so one of the reasons I've started running these live streams is I am absolutely committed to changing the dialogue and the way we approach relationships. It needs a complete overhaul. It is too complicated. It has people looking in the wrong direction. It has people feeling positional and stuck, overthinking, judgmental, projecting, and blame-filled, and that doesn't help. And if that is you and you are in that situation, I want you to know it is not your fault. You're not doing anything wrong, but what you are operating from is an enormous misunderstanding of how human beings work. Okay. And we all work exactly the same. The operating system of a human being is identical. Doesn't matter if you are male or female, young, old, educated, not educated, religious, not religious, whatever language you speak, the operating system of a human being is exactly the same. And so when you have that understanding, you can take it with you into any and every relationship in your life. And, I've said this many, many times. Being good at relationships is an essential life skill, right? Life is infinitely, infinitely easier when we do well at relationships. And I want you to know that if you're sitting here listening to me and you're saying to yourself, yeah, but Fiona, I had a terrible upbringing. Yeah, but Fiona, nobody taught me how to deal with conflict. Yeah, but Fiona, I didn't have a dad bring me up or a mum, and I'm not very good. Like, if you've got an exception in your mind or a yeah, but, I want you to know it does not matter. Okay? It doesn't matter about your past. It doesn't matter about your upbringing, and it doesn't matter if you have a mental health issue. Okay? Maybe you're someone who's dealing with depression or anxiety or some other mental health issue. The understanding that I teach will help you. Okay. It really, really will. So please don't sit there and think I am an exception. I promise you, you are not an exception. If you want change, if you are prepared to look in this direction, you have an open mind, you can have it. It's yours. It's your birthright. And it's much, much easier and simpler than you can ever possibly imagine. Hey, Brian, nice to see you. Really nice to see you. I was thinking about you. I'm going to send you a message. You're on my list of people to send a message to after this broadcast. So I'm going to put it out there. Does anybody have a question that they would like to ask me? Is there anything that you are stuck with? Is it anything that I can help give you clarity around? Anything at all, feel free to ask me, and I will do whatever I can to be of service and assist you with that. Whilst I'm waiting for your questions to come through, because it always takes a little while, people are little bit shy and they hang back and they wait and see, will someone else ask, will I, won't I? So whilst you're doing that little bit of extra thinking time, I will share a couple of things that I've seen this week with my clients. Thanks, Brian. Yep, Brian is saying to me 100% this will help. And because Brian has the understanding that I teach, Brian's done my program and been a client of mine and been an absolute delight to work with. So he's speaking from experience. And I know that when Brian and I started, Brian was in a really, really different, let's just say very different frame of mind, for seeing things very, very differently to where he sees them now, and has seen enormous change and shift and a lot more ease and flow in your life, haven't you, Brian? So one of the things that I have really seen, and I tend to draw on what's happened this week with my client work. This week I have been working with a lady in the UK, so I've been seeing my clients during the day, and then we've been working together from around 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. every night this week. And it's been amazing to work with her and to share this understanding with her. And so through her, what I've been doing with her and through the other clients I've worked with this week, there's been a bit of a theme, and there always is, funnily and interestingly enough. And I guess one of the things that we don't talk about enough in our relationships, a direction that we don't look at enough, because the traditional approach to relationships is, let's talk about your problems. Let's talk about how you can solve your problems. Let's talk about why you have this problem. And let's then sit down and tell each other how we feel about the problem. Now, the big problem, and I'm using the word problem a lot right now, the big problem with that is that when you look at your relationship through the lens of problem, okay, when you look at your relationship through the lens of problem, and you could then take this to the lens of your life, okay, when you're looking through the lens of problem, you are looking through the lens of lack. You are looking through the lens of what's missing. You are looking through the lens of critiquing, judging, gauging, analyzing. And you ultimately then tend to look at it through the lens of judgment. Okay, now, whenever you look at anything through that lens, you are going to be in a low feeling. Things are going to seem much harder. They're going to seem distorted. It's going to seem almost impossible. It's going to seem like the gap between you is too large. And it's going to feel as though you are not on the same page, your differences are too enormous, and that there are too many things that you need to, too many obstacles that you need to overcome. Now, when you look at it through that lens, these are the kinds of things that you say to yourself. And I say this because that was me with my own husband, 9 years ago when I came across this understanding. And I see this all the time with my clients. And Carly's just said 100%, because Carly was in very much that same situation before she did my program Relatable, feeling as though their differences were too huge. What tends to happen is when you are looking at things through that lens, you feel separate. You actually create a feeling of separateness. Now, when we are in a state of separateness, we feel completely disconnected. When we feel disconnected, we get very, very, very anxious, fearful, concerned. We speed up internally. We don't realize it, but we're coming from a place of fear, and we project that out everywhere we go. Okay? Now, you start projecting that out often enough, the other person is going to feel like they are not enough. They're going to feel that no matter what they do, they can't get it right. They're going to feel that what's the point, because no matter how hard I try, I just get cut down. And I hear this same story multiple times per day. It's so common. So common. I hear it multiple times per day. Now, if you're operating from that place often enough, you start to give up, don't you? You start to think, well, what's the point? Who cares? You stop trying. And then the other person thinks, well, see, I knew it. You don't really love me. You're not really trying. You don't really care. You're disrespecting me. Okay. That starts to come into it. So there's more judgment, there's more critiquing, there's more analyzing. And then the level of goodwill falls through the floor. Now, when goodwill disappears, everybody starts fault finding. Right? You become expert fault finders. And if you look through the lens of fault finding, you will find it, whether it's with yourself or with somebody else. Okay, you'll find it. You want to go looking for it, you'll find them everywhere. And then you start living in the feeling of that, and it starts to snowball. And when this starts to snowball, that's generally when someone comes to me. Now, the difference between the approach that I do and say someone else is, I can tell in that frame of mind when goodwill is that low and everything has started to snowball, that the least helpful thing would be to get those people to look through this filter of their problems, right? The least helpful thing would be to get those two people who are now in a state of low goodwill, who are fault finding, who are coming from lack, fear, worry, and judgment, to start dealing with their problems. You are emotionally unintelligent. You don't have access to the resources that you need to deal with them. And that is just like, it's like putting a match to a bonfire. Okay. So when people come to me and they're in that frame of mind, what I need to do, right? What I need to do is teach you how to create goodwill, raise the level of goodwill first. That has to be the basis, okay? And then we take a look at those problems. But if you don't raise the level of goodwill first, if that doesn't become the foundation, right? You're building your relationship from the bottom up, not the top down. You're building it from the bottom up. Okay, building it from the top down is looking at problems, is looking at communication styles, is looking at personality types, is looking at differences. That's building it from the top down. That won't work. Okay, you got to build it from the bottom up. So you teach people how human beings create their reality. You teach people how to create goodwill so that they recognize it. You teach people how to navigate their own emotions so they are better at dealing with their own stuff first. Okay. That's when you build a beautiful foundation that you can come back to and draw from again and again and again and again. Okay. If you build a relationship from the top down, there's no foundation to draw from. Nothing. And so people then don't have anything to move forward with that has depth, that has understanding, that has potential. All they can see is how different you are, how that they don't have anything in common, that there's disconnection, and then they retreat and withdraw. Now, the minute we do that, right, what happens if you have two people who represent me, okay? So two people representing the me, nobody representing the we. Okay, so if nobody's representing the we and there's just me, this is when things go pear-shaped very, 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 very fast. and people were like, I don't know what happened, right? I don't know what happened. Um, how did we get here? And people are distraught because they like, I don't know what happened, Fiona. I don't know how it went from here to here so fast. Well, I've just explained to you how. Okay. And so if you've just listened in and that's you, listen to the replay because I've just spent the last 10 minutes or so explaining how, if you've got to that place, that is how it's happened. And it is not because it's because you are a terrible person. It's because you are lacking an understanding, which we all need to have, of how to build things from the bottom up instead of the top down. Okay. Um, Thanks, Kirsty. So frustrating that more counsellors don't approach it from this perspective, Fiona. And look, it's not their fault either. It's just people aren't taught this. That is the next program I want to create, is to help counsellors and therapists learn this stuff so they can help more people. But that's in the pipe works. I've just hired a full-time virtual assistant so that I've got more time to be creative and do those things. So it's there. I've been working on it in the back of my mind for a long time now. And yeah, I hear this story so many times, wasted so much time and money on previous counseling. And as Kirsty just said, amazing that relationships are now so easy. And let me tell you, I think I'm allowed to say this, Kirsty. Kirsty was extremely skeptical, extremely. So and so was your partner, and who I think are both on this chat at the moment. They were both very, very, very skeptical, and I think if they've really seen an amazing change, which has just been beautiful. So thank you for that, Kirsty, and thank you, Brian. Yes, there is a pathway. So if you are feeling stuck, if you are feeling like, yeah, there, see, Kirsty's saying so skeptical, absolutely, so skeptical. So, and that's okay if you're skeptical, you're allowed, and there's nothing wrong with that, okay? But don't allow your skepticism to get in the way of you getting the help that you need, okay? Yep, Roz, that's right. So skeptical. Don't allow that to get in the way of you getting the help that you need, right? There is no shame, okay? No shame in getting help around your relationship. There's no shame in saying, hey, I need to develop my skills in this area. We will develop our skills around nutrition, around fitness, around finances, around so many things, but we will not we will say that, no, we should know this. I've got to do this on my own. And you're just being obstinate if you're doing that, right? You need a little bit more of a healthy dose of humility, because no, you shouldn't have to do this on your own. And no, there's nothing wrong with you if you can't work it out, but your stubbornness and your obstinateness, and I say this with love, okay, I do, is getting in the way of you having an extraordinary life and an extraordinary relationship. Okay, so if that's you on this call, let it go. Let it go. Try something new. Step out of your comfort zone, because I promise you this is the most extraordinary conversation that will have a lasting impact, that will take you everywhere you go for the rest of your life. And I do not say that lightly, and I do not say that in a vacuum. I say that because I have many, many clients who would absolutely scream from the rooftops and say that that is 100% true for them. Okay. And it has been 100% true for me. I don't teach anything I haven't personally experienced or lived through. And so I've seen the power of this in my own life first, and now I'm helping people see the power of this in their own lives. So yes, I'm going to make that bold statement that people get very triggered by. Yes, relationships can be easy and effortless. Yes, they can. Yes, they can be simple. Yes, they can. Okay. Yes, they can. Brian, 1,000%, right? Yes, they can. We just need to approach this from a completely different way. We need to approach them from the bottom up, not the top down. Okay. So if you are in a relationship that feels hard, that feels exhausting, that feels like it's not possible, I want you to know that there is an entirely different reality waiting for you. You just have to be prepared to take it. The opportunity is there. The pathway is there. It's yours for the taking. Okay. And even if you're in a relationship that maybe is ending right now, all right, you want to learn this so that the next relationship you do is different. It's not Groundhog Day. Okay. It's not Groundhog Day. I hear so many stories of relationship Groundhog Day. Thank you, Jeno. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Jeno. Let me know where you're from, Jeno. Okay. Your relationships do not have to be Groundhog Day. Remember, it's one solution to every relationship. One solution. You take that solution with you and you have something that is sustainable and you can take with you into any and every relationship in your life. Teams, families, children, intimate partners, and it does not matter. Okay, I'm just going to put it out there. If you are in a same sex relationship, if you like, that's irrelevant. It's not different rules for same sex relationships. It is the same thing. All right. Do not think you are an exception. All right. Because it's exactly the same. All right. And this isn't about masculine and feminine energy, by the way too complicated. And you don't even need to look in that direction. All right. It's not about personality types, way too complicated. It's looking at the sameness between human beings. It's looking at the sameness. Hey, Carly. Um, oh, thank you, honey. Do the relatable program. That's my online program. Um, I didn't know if the investment was going to be worth it, but I was so wrong. I have made such a beautiful understanding of my humanness now. I have my marriage and family back together. Even if I didn't, it still would have been worth it. Oh, that's beautiful, Carly. Thank you, darling. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for being brave enough to share that for other people to see. Okay. When Carly did my program, she was separated from her husband and her children. They were in separate residences. They've now reconciled. They've now moved back to, they're living together and they've got their family back. And I definitely know that when Carly started the program, she did not think that was possible. So it is amazing what can change. Jano, you're in Las Vegas, Nevada. Wow. Okay. Well, welcome, Jano, from Las Vegas, Nevada. What time of the day is it there? I'm imagining it must be quite late for you. Is it? Is that right? I don't even know what time zone that is. But welcome. Wonderful to have you here. Rob John. One can tango, start fixing you first. Everything falls into place or becomes digestible. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. 100% totally agree with you, Rob. Thank you for sharing that. Jano, you have my gratitude fee. Thank you, Jano. That's so lovely of you to say. I really, really appreciate that. 2100. Okay, so that's 11 p.m., right? Is that 11? Yeah. No. Oh, God, now you're speaking in a 24-hour clock. 18, 6, 19, 7. 28, no, 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock, sorry, 8 o'clock at night. Okay, well, this is good timing then. 9 o'clock. Oh, don't come to me for help with maths or figures, all right? That's clearly not my zone of genius, but I can help you with the other things, okay? Oh, that's hilarious. Okay, 9 o'clock. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. So I really want you to know that this is about looking in the direction of sameness. When people see the sameness in each other, we feel connected. When we feel connected, we do really, really well. Okay. When people feel connected, they feel safe. When people feel connected, they feel like they're in partnership. When people feel connected, they know they have each other's back. When you have that feeling, and this is all goodwill, right? Relationships thrive. Relationships become easy. Relationships become effortless. You start building a history of dealing with conflict well, right? Now, couples that build a history of dealing with conflict well are not frightened of it. There's no need to walk on eggshells. There's no need to manage and monitor everything that you say, right? People are relaxed. They're calm. They're open. And of course, when people are relaxed, calm, and open, we stop thinking about the me. We start thinking about the we, right? Now, when we're thinking about the we, people stop fault finding. Yeah, they do. They stop fault finding. It doesn't even occur to them. How cool is that? It's not like you're fault finding, you have to hold back and stop yourself. Well, that won't last. That's creating change from a place of willpower which is unsustainable. So when people are coming from a completely different understanding, they stop fault finding. It doesn't even make sense. It's like it just doesn't. You realize there's no magic in that. You realize there's no leverage in that. You just find that easier and easier to let that go. Right? You start living in appreciation of what is instead of fear, judgment, gauging, and assessing of what is not. You recognize how to navigate each other's highs and lows because let's face it, in every single relationship, there are highs and lows. It doesn't matter if you think you are with the perfect match. There are highs and lows that you have to learn how to navigate. And you have to be, right? You have to be able to develop a skill Or another word for that would be an understanding of how to navigate the highs and lows within yourself and within others. But if you're someone who can't do that, then you will find relationships very, very hard. And they don't have to be. Once you have an understanding of how to navigate the operating system of a human being, then navigating the highs and lows of yourself and others becomes easy. Easy. And instead of carrying around a big bag of what I call relationship residue, which is what so many people do. So every time there's a low, that bag of residue just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And then they just plonk it in the middle when it looks like a good idea, when they feel justified. You stop doing that, which takes an enormous mental load off your shoulders, which stops people overthinking, over ruminating. They slow down internally. Their level of well-being naturally then increases. We naturally live in a place of appreciation and gratitude instead of having to write it down and make it on our list, a never-ending list of to-dos. Being busy, 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 doing stops looking like so attractive. And so people are calmer, they're more present, they are able to listen in a completely different way. And so that relationship then goes through the roof. Okay? Quite easily, naturally, and effortlessly. This is what's possible for all of you. Even if you're sitting here very, very, very skeptical, it is possible. It's possible for you to find peace of mind. It's possible for you to feel calmer no matter what is going on out here. It is possible for you to have a different experience of the one you're having right now without the thing externally to you changing. Yes, that is possible. And this is what I teach. Because when you are calmer, when you have clarity of mind, you come from a place of empowerment versus disempowerment. You come from love instead of fear. Now, the minute you do that, everything in your life changes, not just your relationships, but your level of well-being, your level of joy, your decision-making abilities, your ability to handle uncertainty and change. It all changes. And this is why not only your relationships become easy and effortless, but so does your life. Okay? Instead of feeling like you are at the mercy of life, which is how so many people approach life, that they are at the mercy of life, it stops feeling that way. It's completely different. You start to see that you are the creator, you have all the power, you are the artist creating your life, painting your own divine pictures. Okay? This is what you get to see and experience. And it doesn't matter who you are. I have worked with plumbers, with tradesmen, with musicians, with executives of multi-million-dollar companies, with stay-at-home mums, with stay-at-home dads, with 8-year-old kids, with an 86-year-old man, my oldest client. Doesn't matter. The impact is the same. Because all you need to be is a human being. And all you need to know is understand how human beings work. And then everything becomes infinitely easier because you take that understanding with you. Okay? Now, Jeno, the world is the embodiment of divine love and all created things are its material expression. Forgetting this, mankind fumbles about missing the real import of life. Yes, we do. And that's not because it's anybody's fault. It's just because we haven't been taught how to navigate our humanness. Okay. So people who are my clients and people who are in my relatable program will understand what I mean when I talk about the funny little human, right? We're all the funny little human who is blindly fumbling our way through life, doing our very best, missing a massive piece of the puzzle, which makes life much easier for the funny little human. Okay. Much, much, much easier. And where we can put down that enormous mental load which drains our energy, right? Which takes away our joy, which has us fearful and retracting instead of expansive and open, which is actually where human beings do super, super well. So I don't care if you're listening here and you say, I'm not very good with my emotions, irrelevant. I've had a terrible upbringing, doesn't matter. I'm not really good at communicating, doesn't matter. I promise you with this understanding, those things start to shift because those are things that we are inherently built to do well. Okay, this is something few people understand. You are inherently built to do those things well. We are inherently built to do relationships well. We are inherently built to come from understanding, to have peace of mind, well being. Okay, that is in the genetic makeup of every human being on the planet, no exceptions. Okay, so if you're sitting here, I promise you, no, you're not the exception to what I'm saying. And believe me, I've heard just about every possible exception you can imagine. Okay, you're not the exception. We're all the same. We've been given the same operating equipment. We've been given the same ability as everybody else. We've been given the same amount of wisdom. It's just a matter of whether you are tapped into it or whether you are not. Okay, so just to recap what I've said, and believe, if you're sitting there with a question, feel free to ask it in the comments and I will answer it for you. Okay. I will answer any question that comes your way. Let me know. This is what I'm here for. This is your time. So, to recap what I've said, you build a relationship from the bottom up. You don't build it from the top down. An example of building relationships from the top down is working on communication, problems, and differences first. That's building it from the top down. That doesn't work. It really doesn't. It just has people feeling very positional, feeling separate, and focused on the me. Me, no, we. Now, when you have two people focusing on the me, people get aggressive. People get judgmental. They go into self protection mode. They don't share. They withhold. They control. They shut down. Right? So if you're in a relationship where that is going on, that's because you have got your goodwill has gone and you are now in me land. Okay? And it's not anybody's fault. But please understand, you're at a point now where you've proven to each other over a long enough period that I represent me and I represent me. So if you're in that, that's a very adversarial place to be. It's a very adversarial dynamic. It's like two lawyers in a courtroom, right? And the goal of the two lawyers in the courtroom is to convince everybody that they are right so they can win. And this is exactly what two people do when they're focused on the me. My goal is to convince you that I am right so I can win. My goal is to convince you that I am right so I can win. Nobody wins. And being right is a very, very lonely place. Believe me, I know. So what starts to happen when you have this understanding is people start focusing on the we. So what do? They get over themselves. They start sharing. They start reaching out. They start helping each other. Goodwill then gets created. People then live in a better feeling. Once we live in a better feeling, we stop fault finding. We come together. And all of a sudden, those differences that look like deal breakers start becoming irrelevant and disappear altogether. Because it's not the differences that break relationships down. Okay, it's a lack of goodwill. Okay, there are plenty of relationships thriving out there in the world where people are completely polar opposites of each other. Okay, plenty. And there are also plenty of relationships where people have heaps and heaps of things in common and then find themselves two people who are me with no we, right? So the defining factor there is that people have lost goodwill, they've shut down, they've gone into control mode, and they don't feel safe. So there's no point trying to fix your problems, overcome your differences, or try and communicate if you are still in a place where you don't feel safe. It's not going to work, right? It's just not. Do you know, is this a fight or flight biologically based response? Maybe it could be, definitely, but there's more to it than that, right? There's more to this than simply biology. Okay, there is. There's more to this than biology, but yes, that plays a part. But when you have an understanding, the understanding will override biology. Right? It will. The understanding becomes the leverage point. So yes, that's true. When we feel threatened, we shut down, and without realizing it, and please understand this, it's actually quite innocent for many, many, many people. We throw petrol onto a smoldering fire. We do, but that's because when you think about it, a injured or frightened animal, what do they do? A cornered animal, of course, they're going to, right? And that's really where a lot of people are. But there is more to it than this, although your comment is very insightful, Janot. There's more to it than this, right? That will override the biological response, and it will override it quite automatically, easily, and effortlessly. Because, in order for change to be easy, right, in order for change to be easy, it has to be effortless, right? There has to be less doing and applying and application, right? When we've got to do a lot of applying and application, then you are in your intellectual, analytical mind and you are missing things, right? You are missing many, 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 many things. It's harder for you to listen. It's harder for you to connect because you're more in that space of separation and you're focusing on the me. Okay. So remember, when people feel separate, they don't do very well. Okay. Rob, is it okay to identify when others erode goodwill or just ignore and focus on my own? I guess it depends what you mean by identify when others erode goodwill. And here's what I mean. And feel free to clarify that question, Rob, because you have to understand when someone is eroding goodwill, they're often not aware that they are, or if they are, they feel like they can't help it. So it's quite innocent. And when someone is in that frame of mind where they are eroding goodwill, they're in a place of very low emotional intelligence. Okay. So you start pointing out to them what they're doing and they're in a low place of emotional intelligence and they're very focused on the me. What do you think is going to happen? Right? What do you think is going to happen? They don't have enough humility in that moment because when we're in low emotional intelligence, humility has gone out the window. They don't have enough humility and grace within themselves to accept, understand, and agree. They are just going to fire that puppy right back out at you. Okay? And so when someone feels that way, you pointing it out to them, whether you're right or wrong, is not going to go down very well. Okay. And so this is where understanding needs to fill the gap there. Okay. So imagine there's no goodwill, you're feeling separate. Fill the gap with understanding as opposed to judgment, um, context, right, wrong points of view, right? When you fill it with that kind of thing, you're coming from your intellectual, analytical mind, and that other person does not have capacity to take on board what you're saying, and you will find it being thrown back in your face. So, when you feel that space with understanding, I know. I love that, Carly. This program is simply this easy. I literally just had to watch some videos and my whole life changed. I know if you're listening to this, that sounds too good to be true. I get that. I really do. I know that. And there are a lot of people sprouting all sorts of things on the internet, right, that aren't true. I get that as well. And I know that this is tricky because I'm saying something that is so far removed from what we've been led to believe. But look, I want you to know, Carly, I haven't asked Carly to be here. I'm not paying these people any money. I have not said to them, can you please join on my Facebook Live? I haven't. These are generally people who've done my program, who've worked with me and have seen these changes and cannot believe it. Okay. So I know that this can be really hard if you're sitting here hearing me for the first time and someone says to you, I just watched some videos and my life changed. It's like, really? But I'm teaching you an understanding. Please understand. Understanding is what creates change. Understanding is what creates change. Okay? It really is. Oh, thank you, Carly. That's so lovely. Thank you. I love you too. Oh, you guys are awesome. Just awesome. Thank you. That's so beautiful. And Rob, yes, being attacked verbally, yes, right? You are adding fuel to the fire. And we can often misunderstand that moment because it looks like that person deserves it and they're behaving badly and they're da-da-da-da. But just understand in that moment where you're bringing that energy, you are just mirroring them. Okay? You're just a mirror to them now. And mirror, mirror, it's just like two pieces of sandpaper abrasively rubbing each other wrong the wrong way. Nothing good will come from that. Nothing. Doesn't matter how right you feel. Doesn't matter if they're behaving poorly. You go in and you add fuel to the fire. Kaboom. Okay. And goodwill just falls through the floor. And that is also not how you create. It's also not how you create a history of dealing with conflict well. All right. Because in that moment, you've just proven when you behave poorly and you behave in a way I don't like, I'm going to let you have it. right? So that's just another person representing the me. Yeah. Now, I know you might be listening to this and thinking, hang on a minute, hang on a minute. If someone's behaving poorly, they can't treat me that way. That's not fair. Um, that's not okay. I can't allow that to happen. Now, all I can say to you is I totally appreciate what you are saying. Hey, that's my pleasure, Rob. I'm so glad that that has been helpful for you. Um, if you're hearing me, if you're listening, hearing this, I want you to know this is not a conversation because this is the conclusion people leap to without having the understanding, right? People leap to a conclusion. They hear me say this and then they jump to a conclusion. And notice how I'm doing this with my hand because they've just jumped across the entire understanding, which is what allows them to get to that place. Okay. So don't sit there without the understanding and then say, but that's not right. You can't do that. That's just me allowing someone to walk all over me. That's allowing someone to treat me poorly. That's allowing someone to take advantage of me. All I can say to you, if you are sitting here hearing that, you've just leapfrogged from where you are to here, and you don't have the understanding I teach, which is the thing that is the leverage point for change. So without the understanding, and I say this with love and respect, please don't sit there and say that's not possible. Okay. Have the understanding and then tell me how it's not possible. Okay. Because this is the thing that will change everything. This is the thing that will change everything. Okay. No matter who you are, no matter how old you are, no matter your background, no matter what relationship you are in, this is the thing that will change everything. And it's an understanding. Now, please understand, when understanding is in place, there is no conflict. Conflict only exists in an absence or a vacuum of understanding. Kirsty, I'm just reading your comment, honey. It used to be so easy to add fuel to the fire, but it doesn't help at all. No one wins. You just want to hurt and punish that person. And I learned that the hard way. But understanding and compassion has changed my life. Saying thank you, Fiona, is not enough. Oh, it's just thank you, Kirsty. I can't tell you what it means to me to hear you say that. I cannot. I honestly I can't tell you what that means. For those of you who don't know my story, and I'm just going to post the link because a couple of people are messaging me saying, how can I find out about your program? So I'm going to post the link to my program here. This is the program that everybody has done, my Relatable Online 8-week program. This is the program these guys have done, and this is what they've gotten from doing that program. Okay, so if you want to know more about what I'm talking about, if you want this understanding in your life, there's the link where you can go and find out about it. I fled many years ago now a domestic violent relationship with two little boys, and the help that I went to get at that time was horrific, to say the least. I felt broken. I felt like I could never feel whole again. I felt like I was unlovable. I felt like I had nothing to offer anybody, and I was trying to rebuild my life from a place of fear and and lack. And I just can't explain to you how devastating that time was. But I made a vow to myself. I made a vow to myself that I would find a way to help people. I made a vow many years ago, and it's taken me years to get back on my feet, to find my way in the world, to meet my now husband, to all of those things, and through a lot of trial and error, different programs, different things I've done over the years, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in looking for the answer. I truly, with hand over heart, 100% say to you, I have found it. Okay? I have found it. And what I love about it, can you see I'm getting emotional telling you this? Oh, boy. What I love about it is this is available to all of you. You don't have to live like this. Okay? Available to all of you. You don't have to live like this. You just don't. Whatever you're going through right now, you do not have to live like that. There is more on offer. And if that could happen to me and to the many, now hundreds, thousands of people around the world that I have helped, it can happen to you. You are not an exception. You are not broken. Okay? I wish someone had told me that all those years ago. Instead, I was told the opposite. You are not broken. There is nothing missing, and you can have this in your life. All you need to be is a human being with an open mind. Okay? All you need to be is a human being with an open mind, and this is available to you. It does not matter what you are going through. Yes, it is our birthright. And a lot of people don't know this. A lot of people have been completely disconnected from that. And with everything going on in the world right now, we need more people seeing this. We need this because I can tell you right now, guys, yes, I want you to have amazing relationships, but I'm playing an even bigger game. And this is just me personally. I'm here to raise the level of consciousness of humanity. Now, I don't say that with arrogance as if I'm some amazing person that can do that, but I do that because I say that because I know how powerful I am. Right? I know the difference I can make. And I know that you are just as powerful and you can make the same difference. So more and more people wake up to who they really are and what's possible, then we raise the whole level. And I'm looking at you and I'm talking to you. You have just as much power, potential, possibility to do that. You just have to get out of your own way. And I'm providing you with a pathway. Okay? Where you can have that in your life. Where you can change the quality of your life, and in doing so, change the quality of the life of everyone around you, because how you show up ripples out everywhere. Okay? It does. This is way bigger than you. How you show up ripples out everywhere to places you cannot possibly imagine. You are that powerful. Yes, you are. Doesn't matter what's happened in your past. Okay. Sorry, everyone, I got a little bit emotional there, but oh well, what can I say? You can see that I'm very passionate about this. Thank you, Jano. Lots of love to you too. I so appreciate your comments and your support, and everybody who's been on the call today. I so appreciate your support, and you showing up and sharing this is so helpful for other people who are maybe sitting on the sidelines here and full of doubt, full of skepticism, full of worry, full of fear, and going, could this help me? Well, everyone on this call is an example of yes, it can. Okay? Yes, it can. Absolutely. There is more on offer in life. There really is. I want everybody to know it. There is more on offer in life. And it's right there waiting for you. You just have to take that next step. Okay? Stop choosing fear and choose love. Thanks, Carly. Thanks, Rob. Thanks, Olivia. Thank you, all of you, for your beautiful comments. All right, so I'm about to sign off now. I hope this has been helpful to you. I will be here at 1:30 or approximately next Friday. If you have any on YouTube and Facebook, if you have any comments or questions, please send them to hello@fionalukis.com.au. All right, hello@fionalukis.com.au. If you want to know about my online program, Relatable, where I teach you this step by step, where you can join in with an extraordinary community of people from all over the world who lift each other up and support each other, where you can experience real change no matter what's going on in your life, where you can get peace of mind, clarity, calm, connection, stop overthinking, handle the ups and downs of life very, very differently, where you can do relationships incredibly well. Go to that link and check it out. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for your love and support. I will see you next Friday. Bring your questions and I'll do what I can to answer them live. Bye, everyone.